The first reality-breaking Mandela Effect involves one of the most beloved children's book series in American history. For decades, millions of children grew up reading about a family of bears who taught valuable life lessons through their everyday adventures. The series was created by Stan and Jan Berenstain in 1962 and became a cornerstone of childhood literature. But here's where your brain starts doing backflips. If you grew up with these books, you probably remember them as the Berenstain Bears. The name makes perfect sense. It sounds Jewish, which fits the creator's background. It follows standard Germanic naming conventions. It's how everyone pronounced it. It's how it looked on the spines of hundreds of books lining library and bedroom shelves across America. Except it was never Berenstain. It was always Berenstain. With an A. The books, the TV shows, the merchandise, everything has always been spelled Berenstain Bears. Stan Berenstain himself addressed this confusion in their 2002 autobiography, recalling how even his third-grade teacher insisted his name should be Bernstein and refused to accept that Berenstain was correct. This isn't just a simple spelling mistake that a few people made. We're talking about millions of people who are absolutely certain they remember Berenstain, not Berenstain. People who can visualize the book covers, who remember how the letters looked, who recall the way their parents pronounced it. Yet every single piece of physical evidence shows it was always Berenstain. What makes this even more disturbing is that some people claim to remember both versions existing simultaneously. Parents who swear they had Berenstain books at home, but noticed Berenstain books at the library. Children who remember being confused when they saw different spellings in different places. These accounts suggest that for some people, the transition from one spelling to another wasn't gradual, but sudden and jarring. The second mind-bending Mandela Effect involves one of the most quoted lines in movie history. Every movie buff knows Darth Vader's iconic revelation to Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. It's been parodied countless times, referenced in everything from Saturday Night Live sketches to casual conversations. The line that shocked audiences worldwide and redefined everything we thought we knew about the Star Wars saga. If you're like most people, you remember Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father." The line is so famous, it's become cultural shorthand for unexpected paternal revelations. It's been quoted in contexts far removed from science fiction, becoming part of our collective cultural vocabulary. But Darth Vader never said those words. What he actually said was, "No, I am your father." The word Luke never appears in the dialogue. Luke had just accused Vader of killing his father, and Vader responded by revealing that he was Luke's father. The no was a direct response to Luke's accusation. This false memory is so widespread that even people who have watched the movie dozens of times remember the incorrect version. The misquoted line appears in countless parodies, references, and discussions about the film. It's as if the entire world collectively agreed to remember a version of the scene that never existed. What makes this particularly unsettling is the specificity of the false memory. It's not just that people remember Vader revealing his paternity. It's that they remember him using Luke's name specifically, creating a more direct and dramatic moment than what actually occurred. The false version feels more cinematically satisfying, more emotionally impactful, which might explain why our brains prefer this version to reality. The third reality-shifting Mandela Effect takes us into the realm of corporate branding and childhood snacks. For generations, American families have gathered around kitchen tables to enjoy a classic treat that combines the satisfying crunch of rice cereal with the gooey sweetness of marshmallows. This simple dessert became a staple of bake sales, school lunches, and family gatherings across the country. If you grew up making these treats, you probably remember them as Rice Krispie treats. The name makes logical sense. The cereal is called Rice Krispies, so treats made from that cereal would naturally be Rice Krispie treats. It follows standard English grammar and naming conventions. But the official name has always been Rice Krispies Treats, with an S. Not Rice Krispie Treats, but Rice Krispies Treats. The packaging, the official recipes, the marketing materials, everything has always included that plural S that somehow disappeared from millions of people's memories. This false memory is particularly persistent because it seems to make grammatical sense. When we create treats using Rice Krispies cereal, it feels natural to call them Rice Krispie Treats, using the singular form as an adjective. Our brains autocorrect the name to match logical grammar patterns, creating a false memory that feels more correct than the actual name. The same grammatical confusion extends to other beloved snacks. Millions of Americans remember double stuff Oreos with 2 F's in stuff. But the actual product is double stuff Oreos with only 1 F. The intentional misspelling was a marketing decision by Nabisco, but countless consumers remember the more grammatically conventional spelling. These food-related Mandela effects are particularly compelling because they involve products people interact with regularly. These aren't obscure historical facts or rarely seen images. These are brand names that appear on packages in millions of homes. Yet somehow entire populations developed and maintained false memories about basic spelling and naming conventions. The fourth mind-bending Mandela effect involves one of the most recognizable board game characters in history. For over a century, the Monopoly Man has been the face of capitalism in board game form, representing wealth, success, and business acumen. His distinctive appearance has made him an instantly recognizable icon of American culture. If you picture the Monopoly Man in your mind right now, you probably see him wearing a monocle. That single eyeglass lens seems like the perfect accessory for a wealthy businessman from the early 20th century. It complements his top hat, his mustache, and his overall aesthetic of old-fashioned prosperity. But rich Uncle Pennybags, the Monopoly Man's official name, has never worn a monocle. Not in the original 1935 design, not in any subsequent updates, not in any official artwork or marketing materials. His eyesight has always been perfect, requiring no visual assistance whatsoever. This false memory is so widespread that it consistently appears in scientific studies of the Mandela effect. Researchers at the University of Chicago found that when presented with multiple versions of the Monopoly Man, the majority of participants confidently selected the version with the monocle, even though it was incorrect. What makes this particularly fascinating is that the monocle seems so logical. We associate monocles with wealth, sophistication, and the kind of old money aristocracy that the Monopoly Man represents. Our brains fill in this expected detail based on cultural stereotypes, creating a false memory that feels more authentic than the actual character design. The confusion might stem from conflation with other characters who do wear monocles, like Mr. Peanut, the Planters mascot. But the consistency of this false memory across different demographics and cultures suggests something more complex than simple character confusion. The fifth reality-breaking Mandela effect involves the beloved Golden Protocol droid from the Star Wars universe. C-3PO has been a central character throughout the saga, appearing in every main series film and countless spin-off materials. His distinctive golden appearance has made him one of the most recognizable robots in science fiction history. When you imagine C-3PO, you probably picture him as entirely golden, gleaming from head to toe in metallic splendor. This mental image has been reinforced through decades of merchandise, marketing materials, and casual references to the golden robot from Star Wars. But C-3PO has never been entirely golden. His right leg, from the knee down, has always been silver. This detail appears in every film, every official photograph, and every piece of authentic merchandise. Yet millions of Star Wars fans, including those who have watched the films multiple times, remember him as completely golden. This false memory is particularly puzzling because Star Wars is one of the most scrutinized and analyzed franchises in entertainment history. Fans memorize dialogue, analyze costume details, and debate the smallest plot points. Yet somehow, a major visual element of one of the main characters has been collectively misremembered by vast numbers of devoted fans. The silver leg isn't a subtle detail that might be easily overlooked. It's a significant visual contrast that should be immediately apparent to anyone looking directly at the character. Yet study after study confirms that people confidently remember C3PO as entirely golden, suggesting that our brains sometimes edit out details that don't match our expectations. The sixth mind-bending Mandela Effect takes us into the world of corporate logos and American consumer culture. For decades, one particular clothing brand has been a staple of American wardrobes, known for its simple, wholesome imagery and affordable undergarments. The company's logo features a collection of fresh fruit, symbolizing natural goodness and quality. If you remember shopping for underwear and t-shirts from this brand, you probably recall the Fruit of the Loom logo featuring a cornucopia. That horn-shaped basket, overflowing with apples, grapes, and other fresh produce, seemed like the perfect symbol for a brand emphasizing natural, wholesome products. But the Fruit of the Loom logo has never featured a cornucopia. Never. The logo has always been simply a collection of fruit floating on a white background, with no basket, horn, or container of any kind. Yet millions of consumers vividly remember the cornucopia as a central element of the brand's visual identity. This false memory is particularly confusing to researchers because it contradicts logical explanation patterns. Cornucopias aren't common in modern life, and if our brains were simply filling in expected details, we might expect to remember a plate or bowl under the fruit, not a rarely seen cornucopia. The University of Chicago study found that when people were given 3 versions of the Fruit of the Loom logo to choose from, they consistently selected the version with the cornucopia over alternatives that would seem more logical, like fruit arranged on a plate. This suggests that the false memory isn't based on simple logical association, but on something more specific and widespread. Some people remember learning about cornucopias specifically because of the Fruit of the Loom logo, using the brand's supposed imagery as a teaching tool for explaining the concept of abundance and harvest symbolism. These detailed false memories include specific conversations, classroom discussions, and educational moments that apparently never happened. We've explored 6 impossible Mandela effects that challenge everything we think we know about memory, reality, and the reliability of our collective experiences. But we're just getting started. The remaining effects we'll examine push even further into territory that makes rational explanation nearly impossible, involving everything from childhood snacks to iconic movie scenes to scientific theories about parallel dimensions and timeline manipulation. Each of these examples builds on the last, creating a cumulative weight of evidence that suggests something far stranger is happening than simple memory errors or cultural confusion. Whether these phenomena result from psychological mechanisms we don't fully understand, quantum effects beyond current scientific knowledge, or something even more mysterious, they force us to confront uncomfortable questions about the nature of reality itself. The 7th reality-shattering Mandela effect involves one of the most iconic candy brands in history. For over 80 years, this chocolate wafer bar has been a global phenomenon, satisfying sweet cravings and creating countless childhood memories across continents. The distinctive red packaging and crispy wafer design made it instantly recognizable in candy aisles worldwide. When you think about this beloved treat, you probably remember it as KitKat. The hyphen between kit and cat seems natural, logical, and grammatically correct. It follows standard compound word conventions and matches how most people pronounce the name with that slight pause between syllables. But there has never been a hyphen in KitKat. Ever. The brand name has always been written as one continuous word, without any punctuation breaking it up. This isn't a recent change or a regional variation. From the very first wrapper in 1935 to every package produced today, it's always been KitKat as a single word. The company itself has addressed this confusion directly. In 2016, the official KitKat Twitter account posted a clarification stating that the name has never been hyphenated on either UK or US wrappers. Yet millions of people worldwide maintain vivid memories of seeing that hyphen on countless candy bars throughout their lives. This false memory spans generations and cultures. Parents remember buying KitKat bars for their children. Teachers remember using the hyphenated spelling in classroom examples. Shoppers remember scanning store shelves looking for the familiar hyphenated name. These aren't vague recollections, but specific, confident memories of a punctuation mark that apparently never existed. What makes this particularly unsettling is how the false memory seems more correct than reality. The hyphenated version follows logical English spelling conventions for compound words. Our brains expect the hyphen to be there, and when we look at the actual product, something feels wrong, incomplete, like a crucial element has been removed. The eighth mind-breaking Mandela Effect takes us deep into the psychology of expectation and visual memory. This involves one of the most famous animated characters in history, a yellow creature whose image has appeared on everything from lunchboxes to billboards across the globe. For decades, this character has been synonymous with childhood joy and innocent entertainment. When you picture Pikachu from Pokemon, you probably remember his tail having a black tip. It makes perfect visual sense. His ears have black tips, creating a balanced, symmetrical design that follows basic principles of character animation. The black tip on the tail would complete the aesthetic pattern and make the character design feel harmonious and complete. But Pikachu's tail has never had a black tip. His tail is entirely yellow, with no black markings whatsoever. Only his ears feature the distinctive black tips that so many people remember seeing on his tail as well. Yet countless Pokemon fans, including those who watched the show religiously and collected the merchandise, maintain confident memories of that non-existent black tail tip. This false memory appears across different age groups, cultures, and levels of Pokemon fandom. Casual viewers and dedicated collectors alike remember the black tip with identical confidence. Some people describe drawing Pikachu as children and always including the black tail tip because that's how they remembered the character looking. University research has confirmed this as one of the strongest visual Mandela effects ever documented. When people are asked to draw Pikachu from memory, a significant percentage include the black tail tip that never existed. Even when shown the correct version of Pikachu, many people continue to insist that the version they remember was different. The false memory is so persistent that it survives direct contradiction. People will look at an official Pikachu image, acknowledge that the tail is entirely yellow, but maintain that they distinctly remember it being different in the past. It's as if their brains refuse to accept that their memories could be so fundamentally wrong about such a basic visual detail. The ninth reality-bending Mandela effect involves quantum physics and touches on some of the most disturbing theories about why these false memories might exist. In 2012, scientists at CERN's Large Hadron Collider achieved what many consider one of the most significant discoveries in modern physics. They confirmed the existence of a subatomic particle that had been theorized for decades but never directly observed. This discovery involved the Higgs Boson, often called the God particle, because of its fundamental role in giving other particles mass. The confirmation of its existence validated crucial aspects of the standard model of particle physics and opened new frontiers in our understanding of reality itself. But here's where things get disturbing. Many people remember this discovery happening years earlier than 2012. Some recall news coverage from 2008 or 2009 announcing the confirmation of the God particle. Others remember classroom discussions about the successful discovery occurring well before it actually happened. These false memories aren't just about dates or minor details. People remember specific news broadcasts, scientific celebrations, and educational materials discussing the confirmed discovery of the Higgs boson years before scientists actually found it. They recall the excitement, the implications, and the media coverage of an event that apparently happened in a different timeline. What makes this particularly chilling is the connection some researchers have drawn between CERN's experiments and the apparent increase in Mandela Effect incidents. The Large Hadron Collider smashes particles together at incredible speeds, recreating conditions that existed moments after the Big Bang. Some theorists suggest that these experiments might be inadvertently affecting the fabric of space-time itself. Stephen Hawking once warned that the discovery of the Higgs boson could theoretically trigger catastrophic vacuum decay, creating a bubble of altered reality that would expand at the speed of light. While mainstream scientists dismiss this as impossibly unlikely, the timing coincidence between CERN's major breakthroughs and the proliferation of Mandela Effect reports has fueled speculation about unintended consequences of particle physics research. The theory suggests that CERN's experiments might be creating tiny rifts in reality, causing people to slip between parallel dimensions or timelines where historical details are slightly different. In one timeline, the Berenstain Bears existed. In another, the Monopoly man wore a monocle. Each CERN experiment might be shuffling people between these alternate realities, leaving them with memories that don't match their current timeline. The 10th and most disturbing Mandela effect involves the very nature of human anatomy and challenges our most basic understanding of our own bodies. This effect doesn't involve entertainment, brands, or historical events. It involves something far more fundamental and personal. Many people remember the human heart being positioned in the left side of the chest cavity. This seems logical, scientific, and matches what most of us learned in basic biology classes. When we pledge allegiance or place our hands over our hearts, we instinctively reach for the left side of our chest. But according to current medical knowledge, the human heart is positioned almost directly in the center of the chest, only slightly tilted toward the left. It's not primarily a left side organ, as many people remember learning. Medical textbooks, anatomy diagrams, and surgical procedures all reflect this central positioning. This creates an unsettling situation where people's memories of basic human anatomy don't match current medical science. Adults remember learning in school that the heart was clearly positioned on the left side. They recall teachers explaining why we place our hands on the left side of our chest during patriotic ceremonies. These memories involve fundamental biological education that apparently never happened the way they remember it. Some people report even more disturbing anatomical Mandela effects. They remember the human skull having different numbers of bones or internal organs being positioned differently than current medical knowledge indicates. These false memories involve the most basic facts about human biology, suggesting that either our educational systems have fundamentally changed how they teach anatomy, or something more mysterious is affecting our collective memories of scientific facts. The implications are staggering. If our memories of basic human anatomy can be collectively false, what else might we be wrong about? How much of our assumed scientific knowledge might be based on memories that don't match current reality? These 10 Mandela effects represent more than curious anomalies or amusing memory glitches. They represent a systematic pattern of collective false memories that challenges everything we think we understand about the reliability of human consciousness, the consistency of reality, and the nature of existence itself. Each example builds upon the others, creating a cumulative case for something extraordinary happening to our shared experience of reality. The sheer number of people affected, the specificity of the false memories, and the emotional conviction with which people maintain these memories despite contradictory evidence suggests we're dealing with something beyond simple psychological explanation. Whether the cause is quantum mechanical, neurological, or something even stranger, These effects force us to confront the possibility that our reality might be far more malleable and mysterious than we ever imagined. What makes these Mandela effects even more disturbing is how they're spreading and evolving in real time through social media and internet culture. We're witnessing the birth of new false memories as they happen, watching collective consciousness shift before our eyes in ways that previous generations never could have imagined. The internet has created an unprecedented environment where false memories can be reinforced, validated, and amplified at lightning speed. When someone posts about remembering the Berenstain Bears on social media, thousands of people immediately respond with identical false memories. These digital echo chambers don't just preserve false memories, they strengthen them through social validation. TikTok videos claiming that CERN is manipulating reality have gone viral with millions of views. Reddit communities dedicated to documenting new Mandela effects have hundreds of thousands of members sharing increasingly bizarre examples. YouTube channels analyzing these phenomena rack up massive view counts as people desperately search for explanations that make sense of their fractured memories. What's particularly unsettling is how new Mandela effects seem to emerge almost instantly. Someone will post about remembering a movie quote differently, and within hours, thousands of people are confirming identical false memories. It's as if collective false memories can now be manufactured and distributed like viral content, spreading through global consciousness faster than ever before in human history. Recent examples from 2024 have pushed the boundaries even further into impossible territory. People are reporting false memories about current events, remembering news stories differently just weeks after they happened. Others claim to remember different outcomes to recent elections, different celebrity deaths, even different weather patterns from the immediate past. The speed at which these new false memories emerge and spread suggests something unprecedented is happening to human consciousness. Either our brains are becoming more susceptible to false memory formation, or the mechanisms creating these effects are accelerating in ways we don't understand. Some researchers have noticed patterns in how these effects propagate. They often begin with a single viral post or video, then spread through specific online communities before breaking into mainstream consciousness. The false memories seem to follow predictable pathways through social networks, almost as if they're being deliberately seeded and cultivated. The most disturbing aspect is how these new Mandela effects are becoming more complex and detailed. Early examples involved simple spelling changes or basic visual details. Recent reports involve elaborate false memories of entire events, complete with emotional recollections, sensory details, and personal connections that feel absolutely real to those experiencing them. People are reporting false memories of movies that never existed, remembering entire plot lines, cast members, and scenes from films that have no record of ever being produced. Others recall television shows from their childhood that apparently never aired, complete with theme songs, character names, and specific episodes they claim to have watched repeatedly. The entertainment industry itself has begun acknowledging these phenomena in ways that blur the line between reality and false memory even further. Some companies have started creating products that cater to false memories, producing merchandise for the non-existent movie Shazam, or creating artwork featuring the Monopoly man with a monocle. This commercial exploitation of false memories creates a feedback loop that makes determining truth even more difficult. When companies profit from collective false memories by creating products that validate them, the line between what was real and what was remembered becomes increasingly blurred. The psychological impact on individuals experiencing these effects can be profound and deeply unsettling. Many people report feeling disoriented, questioning their own sanity, or experiencing a fundamental crisis of confidence in their ability to distinguish between reality and false memory. Support groups have formed online where people share their experiences of discovering that cherished childhood memories don't match documented reality. The emotional weight of learning that your most confident memories might be completely false can trigger anxiety, depression, and a persistent sense that reality itself is unreliable. Some individuals become obsessed with documenting and proving their false memories, spending countless hours searching for evidence that their version of reality once existed. They dig through old photographs, videos, and documents, desperately seeking proof that their memories are accurate and that something has changed in the world around them. Others respond by becoming hypervigilant about their current experiences, constantly documenting and photographing events to protect against future memory alterations. They live in a state of perpetual uncertainty, never fully trusting their own recollections or the stability of the reality they're experiencing. The phenomenon has created a new form of collective trauma, where entire communities of people must confront the possibility that their shared cultural memories are fundamentally unreliable. This challenges basic assumptions about the nature of knowledge, truth, and the continuity of human experience. Mental health professionals are beginning to recognize Mandela Effect distress as a legitimate psychological condition requiring specialized treatment approaches. The challenge lies in helping people cope with false memories without dismissing their genuine emotional experiences or the very real distress these discoveries cause. The implications extend far beyond individual psychology into questions about the nature of truth itself in the digital age. When millions of people can share identical false memories instantaneously, traditional methods of determining what actually happened become increasingly inadequate. Historical research now requires new methodologies that account for the possibility of widespread false memory contamination. Researchers must distinguish between documented facts and collective recollections that might feel more real than reality, but have no basis in actual events. Educational institutions face the challenge of teaching critical thinking skills that help students distinguish between reliable sources and collective false memories that have gained social validation through viral spread. The line between legitimate historical knowledge and confident but false collective memories continues to blur. As we move forward into an increasingly connected digital world, the Mandela Effect phenomenon forces us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness, memory, and reality itself. Whether these effects result from quantum mechanical principles we don't yet understand, neurological mechanisms that operate differently than we assumed, or something even more mysterious, they represent a challenge to our most basic assumptions about how the world works. The 10 examples we've examined represent just the tip of an iceberg that seems to be growing larger and more complex with each passing day. As technology advances and human consciousness becomes increasingly interconnected through digital networks, we may be entering an era where the distinction between individual memory and collective false memory becomes impossible to maintain. These effects don't just challenge what we remember about the past. They challenge our confidence in our ability to accurately perceive and remember the present, raising disturbing questions about whether reality itself is as stable and consistent as we've always assumed it to be. The most terrifying aspect of the Mandela Effect isn't what we've already discovered. It's what appears to be happening right now, in real time, as our collective memories continue shifting in ways that suggest reality itself might be fundamentally unstable. Recent investigations have uncovered evidence that these effects aren't random anomalies, but follow specific patterns that point towards systematic alterations to our timeline. The frequency of reported cases has increased dramatically since 2012, with new examples emerging almost weekly. Each discovery reveals more complex and disturbing implications for the nature of human consciousness and the stability of reality. The geographic distribution of these effects follows patterns that defy conventional explanation. Certain regions report identical false memories with mathematical precision, while other areas remain seemingly unaffected. The clustering isn't random, but appears to follow electromagnetic field variations, proximity to major research facilities, and other factors that suggest external influence rather than natural psychological phenomena. Temporal analysis reveals another disturbing pattern. The majority of false memories involve cultural touchstones from specific decades, particularly the 1980s and 1990s. It's as if certain time periods have been systematically edited, with details altered just enough to create widespread confusion without completely destroying the coherence of our shared cultural memory. Scientists studying these patterns have identified what they call memory anchor points, specific events or cultural references that seem to serve as focal points for reality alterations. These anchors often involve beloved childhood experiences, iconic entertainment moments, or fundamental educational concepts that form the foundation of cultural knowledge. The precision with which these alterations target emotionally significant memories suggests intention rather than accident. Someone or something appears to be deliberately editing our collective past, focusing on moments that carry the most psychological weight and cultural importance. Documentation efforts have revealed that physical evidence sometimes contradicts itself in impossible ways. Researchers have found old photographs that show different versions of the same logos or characters, video footage that displays conflicting details when viewed on different devices, and printed materials that seem to change depending on when and where they're examined. These inconsistencies in physical evidence challenge our most basic assumptions about the permanence of recorded information. If photographs, videos, and documents can display different content to different observers, then our methods for determining objective truth become fundamentally unreliable. The phenomenon has begun affecting professional archives and historical collections. Librarians report finding books with different titles than their catalogue records indicate. Museum curators discover artifacts that don't match their documentation. These institutional memory failures suggest that whatever is causing the Mandela effect operates at a level that transcends individual psychology. Technology companies have started noticing anomalies in their own digital archives. Old websites display different content when accessed from cached versions versus current servers. Digital photographs show different details depending on the platform used to view them. Even artificial intelligence systems trained on historical data sometimes produce outputs that contradict their original training materials. The implications for human knowledge and cultural preservation are staggering. If our methods of recording and preserving information can be retroactively altered, then the entire foundation of human civilization becomes questionable. Libraries, museums, and digital archives that we rely on to maintain cultural continuity may be fundamentally compromised. Government agencies have quietly begun investigating these phenomena, though their findings remain classified. Intelligence services recognize that if collective memories can be systematically altered, the implications for national security and social stability are profound. The ability to edit shared cultural knowledge represents a form of psychological warfare unlike anything previously imagined. Military researchers have documented cases where personnel remember receiving different training than what their official records indicate. Pilots recall learning procedures that don't appear in current manuals. Intelligence analysts remember studying events that apparently never occurred according to official documentation. These institutional false memories suggest that the effect operates at levels far beyond popular culture and childhood nostalgia. If military and government personnel can develop false memories about their professional training and experiences, then the phenomenon poses existential threats to organizational knowledge and operational continuity. The evidence is undeniable. 10 impossible Mandela effects that shatter everything we thought we knew about memory, reality, and the nature of existence itself. From the Berenstain Bears that millions remember as Berenstain, to Darth Vader's misquoted revelation, to anatomical knowledge that doesn't match current medical science. We're witnessing something far more disturbing than simple memory errors. These aren't isolated incidents or psychological curiosities. They're systematic alterations to our shared timeline that affect millions of people with surgical precision. The patterns are too consistent, the details too specific, and the emotional conviction too powerful to dismiss as coincidence or confusion. Whether these effects result from quantum experiments at CERN, parallel dimension bleeding, or something even more mysterious, they force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our reality might not be as stable as we assumed. Our memories might not be as reliable as we believed. And our timeline might have been edited in ways we're only beginning to discover. The most terrifying aspect isn't what we've already found. It's what's happening right now as new Mandela effects emerge faster than ever before. We're living through real-time reality alterations, watching our collective memories shift and change in ways that suggest something fundamental about existence itself is unstable. So the next time you remember something differently than documented evidence suggests, don't dismiss it as a simple mistake. Pay attention. Because these 10 examples prove that sometimes the impossible becomes possible, and our most confident memories might be glimpses of a timeline that once existed, but has been systematically erased from history. The question isn't whether the Mandela effect is real. The question is who or what has the power to edit our timeline, and what else have they changed that we haven't discovered yet?